Let's go get the projector.
My name is Natan Diacon-Furtado, and I'm a collaborative artist and designer who works with pattern making as a globally Southern heritage of language, art, and craft. I think I would define a pattern as two things. I'd define a pattern as kind of a visual language, and then I'd also define a pattern as a moving target through history, right? So I really love the fact that you can talk about like patterns of speech or patterns of thought, these things that kind of move through time and are change and affect people. And then in the same breath as that, we can think about the visual language of patterns, right? Quilt making, pattern making, being able to actually kind of tell a story in just a compressed set of very basic geometries that you can pass down from generation to generation. Growing up in between East Tennessee and Brazil, I grew up speaking both Portuguese and English, and so I'm really used to that sort of mode of translation in my brain, right? Thinking about how to say a word before I say it, thinking through two different languages. And so when I found pattern making as a creative practice, I was really drawn to it immediately because it kind of set the ground for a third language where I could really like meet whoever I'm collaborating with on an equal playing field, right? So when we talk through pattern making, we're kind of making the decision to go on this different playing field and really collaborate with each other back and forth. I think something that's beautiful about pattern making as a language is just how open it is. Mm-hmm. And by being open, it allows you to kind of pour yourself into it in a way. And so being able to do these pattern making workshops that I call sort of our patterns workshops, it's really a wonderful experience because I'm coming in almost as open as the students that I'm working with are, and then by us making patterns together, we really reach this kind of elevated state of being in a community for a brief period of time. I mean, my practice is really intuitive based, right? Because it's about kind of searching for internally these moments of translation and these moments of connection that allow me to collaborate with people, with archives, with places. And so I'm always kind of listening inside myself for something that draws me to a project. And I had previously done a project here in Indiana, and so I had spent a little bit of time here, and it felt like it was a really interesting place, and it had a lot of different histories and a lot of different stories to tell. And so when I found an opening for the Repository Research Fellowship, I just thought, wow, this is kind of serendipitous, right? Like, I'm out here thinking about how do you explore collaboration in kind of like a non-traditional sense, right? How do you explore collaboration across time? And so I'm thinking about how do I work with an archive to actually collaborate with people through history. And then here at Indiana University with the Institute for Advanced Study and the Repository Research Fellowship, I've really been given that ability to like dive deep into an archive and have like these conversations and these collaborations with people in the past and through the little scraps of history that we've been left with, right? And then it's only through that process of working with the archive and collaborating with Elizabeth Breckenridge and Harvey Young and Sarah Park Morrison that I've actually come to find out that I have ancestry here in Indiana, right? So it's really this amazing kind of full circle to be drawn to a project because of the practice that it allows me to have, right? To be drawn to a project because I'm allowed to explore in a certain way, and then to find out that I've been drawn here and that I'm from here in a certain way. And it's this kind of beautiful circle that I think that's what the work's all about, ultimately. Like, I just want to be drawn to a place and then find out why I'm there. This work combines the archival material available for Harvey, Elizabeth, and Sarah with the Wylie House Museum's large, but unrelated to the house's history, quilt collection, to create a series of unique visual languages and graphic patterns that can help us engage more fully with the spirits of Harvey, Elizabeth, and Sarah as an orator, an astronomer, and a poet. I think the role of community for me, in a broad sense for my art, is really just about spending time and thinking, right? Like spending time with people, whether that's physically or through thought or just through kindness, right? Like, I think that there's nothing better that we can do to like make a community or like keep a community bond strong than to just like spend time on that bond. And I think that's what I love about pattern making and something traditional like a quilt, right? Is it's like quilts by their very nature take a community coming together to make them, and then they're passed down through a community. So I think of community as kind of the thing that creates the pattern, but also the thing that gets to be passed down through a pattern. Here, with this project, our patterns, the orator, the astronomer, and the poet, I've really been blessed to discover this community of people who interacted with the Wylie house, but sort of got forgotten by history in a way, right? And so the real blessing for me of having the ability to research in the archives here at the Wylie House Museum was to find the little scraps of evidence that Elizabeth Breckenridge and that Harvey Young and Sarah Park Morrison were here. And then to be able to use my pattern making practice as a way of kind of bringing their spirit back a little bit into the space, and hopefully creating work that allows other people to experience Harvey, Sarah, and Elizabeth and actually spend time with them in a way that I've gotten to.